in the morning. KTFM Floresville and SASportsStar.com. San Antonio's Sports Center.
It's conference championship weekend in the NFL. The Chiefs head to Baltimore to take on the Ravens Sunday afternoon, while the Lions hit the road to take on the San Francisco 49ers. Of course, you can catch those games on your home for San Antonio's Sports Star. Starts at 1 Sunday afternoon, while in the NBA, the Spurs return to action tonight as they take on Scoot Henderson and the Portland Trailblazers. Tip-offs at 8:30.
This is Extra Innings with Pleasure.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Rock and roll! The Texans win it!
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
That ball is history. A walk-off home run.
And it's going to be legendary.
James Pledger wraps your day with insight, opinion, plenty of sarcasm, and of course, your calls. He'll even pour a beer out the door for his favorite story of the day. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. Now, here's Pledge.
Welcome into Extra Innings with Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, SASportsStar.com. However you may be listening, whether it's 941, SASportsStar.com, or on our YouTube channel at SA Sports Star. Like, subscribe, follow along, comment along with the show, or if you want, give us a call, 210-656-ESPN, 210-656-3776. Apparently there was a mix-up, and the Wisconsin-Michigan State game has now been moved to a 6:45 pregame. So, if you're listening to the Blitz, you thought we were done. We're not done. So, a little bit of a change in the time. Michigan State's happening later now. So, you get me for about 45 minutes. So, lucky us. Goldfinger123 in our chat says, who do you think's the biggest need for the Texans in the draft? Or what? I mean, defensive line, offensive line, cornerback. It's going to depend on what they do in free agency. And we can talk about needs and where they can go in the draft. Same for Dallas. A lot of that's going to depend on what happens in March, because it is different in the NFL than it is in the NBA. The draft does not come first. The draft comes second. So you have to think about what your needs are, what needs you address in free agency. Maybe you fill some there, and you can other needs shoot up the list. But it's going to be very interesting to kind of see what both of those teams go as we move on. But it is conference championship weekend, and both those teams are looking to get where these teams are currently, and that would be the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Lions, and the 49ers. And if the Lions can do it, any of us can, right? It has been a long-suffering franchise, but the good news is they have rectified and built from a awful team to a team that got off to a horrendous start last year to, by the time they closed out the year and almost made the playoffs, they were the hot it team going into the season. And they played into it and played with it as they have now punched their ticket into the NFC Championship game. They're both intriguing matchups, and we'll start in the NFC because that one feels a little, and Vegas thinks so as well, judging by the line in that game. That one feels a little bit more easy to call. Now, it's difficult in terms of just how well the Lions have played, kind of playing with house money this offseason, or this postseason now. And with Dan Campbell, you just don't know. He will go for it on fourth down. He will do things in his own end of the field. Like, he is a gambling man. Kyle Shanahan has proven over the last since 28-3, his entire time as a play caller, really. Big games, big moments are not Kyle Shanahan moments. He may be the one under the most pressure this weekend in terms of players, coaches, whatever that need to prove it. Because, yes, Lamar is in that category as well. But Kyle Shanahan's big game performances dating back to 28-3 in the Super Bowl with Atlanta have not been stellar. I look at the 49ers, and they're going to have Deebo Samuel. They're pretty healthy. And they've been the most dominant team, especially on the NFC side of things, all season long. Could things get weird? Obviously. But I look at the 49ers as, and have looked at them most of the season, as the team to beat in the NFC. Even when the Eagles were still the 1 seed. It felt like the Niners were playing the most complete brand of football. That feels like a game that could get big in terms of the score. It's a 7-point line in Vegas. Although, if you look closely at it, the two teams are pretty similar. Jahmyr Gibbs is like Christian McCaffrey in the things he can do. You could split him out. You can use him out of the backfield. He gives Christian McCaffrey vibes. And then they've got an Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Reynolds. Like, they've got weapons. Laporta. You look at Detroit's weapons. Consistent with the Lions' weapon, or the 49ers' weapons. And, of course, George Kittle. Defensively, they've got the linebackers with Warner and Greenlaw. They've got the defensive ends for days. Javon Hart. I mean, the line for the 49ers is so stacked. You got Hargrave, you got Chase Young, you've got Nick Bosa, the reigning defensive player of the year. Like, they go on and on and on. The Lions have a lot of guys that'll scrap, but they've got one, what you would call dude on that line, and that's Aiden Hutchinson. And the back end is pretty suspect for the Lions. While both quarterbacks, Purdy is not given any recognition, and Goff also very similarly not given a whole lot of recognition for what he's doing with this Lions team. That being said, the depth on that defensive line, I lean to San Francisco, and I think their weapons are just slightly better. That's where I look at, if I look at the NFC Championship game, I see the 49ers in the Super Bowl. What say you? 656-3776, 656 ESPN. A bunch of guys going, hey, thought no show. Yeah, there was change in time. The basketball games, pre-game's now been pushed back to 6:45. So you get about 45 minutes of me and to get you up to Wisconsin and Michigan State. So I appreciate everybody for jumping in here. Hunter Hitch, Alexandra, Goldfinger 123, Carlos. I appreciate all y'all for jumping in. When we come back, though, we're going to look at the AFC Championship game, as that feels like we're getting the main course early. It will be the early game on Sunday, but it feels like the biggest game of the weekend. Which way will it go? We'll discuss next right here on Extra Innings with Pledge on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
The NFL playoffs are here.
Read all about it, baby. One last drive.
Wild card, divisional, conference championship, and Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. Hear it on your exclusive home for the NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl. 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Are you tired of looking at your old grimy and mildewy bathtub, looking to replace it with a beautiful walk-in shower, but cash is tight? For as little as $89 a month, no payments for 12 months for consumers who qualify. Remodeling loans can put you into a beautiful new walk-in shower in as little as 1 day. Our agents are standing by, ready to schedule your appointment with our design team at no cost and no obligation to you. Call 800-921-1403. 800-921-1403.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% when you buy 68 or more panels of select OSB sheathing. Plus, save an extra 5% every day on eligible purchases when you use your Lowe's business credit card. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. 5% offer subject to credit approval. Exclusions and terms apply. See store at Lowe's.com/credit for details. U.S. only. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See details.
Not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FREE for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or any gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FREE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FREE for 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill up.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at gawon'twait.com. That's gawon'twait.com.
America's Diamond has never sold lab-grown diamonds, and we warned our clients, friends, and neighbors that wholesale prices would crash to almost nothing. 2-carat GVS2 lab-grown diamonds are currently being traded at wholesale for $264, but some jewelers are still selling them online for $3,000 to $4,000. Repeat, wholesale $264, retail $3,000 to $4,000. Some retailers are selling 1-carat lab-grown diamonds for under $300, and others are giving them away for free with purchase. Lab-grown diamonds are very easy to detect with gemological equipment. Tens of millions of carats are produced in huge factories in China and India, using a tremendous amount of subsidized electricity supplied by coal-burning power plants. America's Diamond has only offered traditional, real, natural earth-grown diamonds that are rare, extremely beautiful, and have had real value for centuries. See our television program tonight on ABC KSAT 12 at 12:35 a.m. or right now at americasdiamond.com.
This is the home of the Aggies, and this is Andrew Monaco. You're locked on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I'm James Pledger. You can follow me on X at I am Pledger. Follow the station at SA Sports Star. You can also watch us on YouTube at SA Sports Star as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm taking you up to 6:45 as we get you ready for Michigan State and Wisconsin, a Big Ten matchup. We talked about the NFC Championship game, but on the AFC side of things, I think it gets a little bit, I don't want to say more difficult to predict, but it becomes very much more of a question in terms of who you feel in your gut's going to win. And if you want to talk about it, feel free to call in 219-656-ESPN, 210-656-3776. We'll talk Spurs and what Sean Elliott had to say coming up a little bit later in the show before we go into the basketball game. But looking at the AFC Championship game, both defenses are extremely, extremely good. Kansas City has probably been one of the most slept on defenses of the year, if we're being honest with ourselves. They play extremely well. George Karlaftis, the linebackers, Bolton, Gay, but really it's in that secondary. Former Houston Texan Justin Reed playing safety back there, but then you've also got Trick McDuffie, the former first-round pick for him, and on the other side of him, you got L'Jarius Sneed, an impending free agent, who last week against the Buffalo Bills gave up his first touchdown of the season. You could make an argument that L'Jarius Sneed has been the best corner in the NFL this season. And I would support that argument. Baltimore is the Triple Crown winner on defense, and that line was sick against the Houston Texans. You talk about Justin Madubuike, Jadeveon Clowney, and what they were able to do and the pressure they were able to generate and the disguises that Mike McDonald's defense is able to pull off. It allows them to be so creative on that back end. But Joe Thuney being out, the all-pro guard, is a question mark for Kansas City. But you worry about, okay, Lamar Jackson, he did his thing against the Texans. Now that there's this really, really top echelon defense rolling into town, will he have the same success? And if it's close, does he start to play tight in the moment? I know he's got the new weapons. Zay Flowers is awesome. But on the other side of things with Kansas City, Rashee Rice out of SMU has come along throughout the season. And for people that haven't been paying attention, they're asking if they have it. Well, Rasheed's basically become the de facto number one outside of Travis Kelce. At the wide receiver position, Rasheed Rice has kind of cemented his spot atop the pecking order when it comes to Patrick Mahomes' weapons. And he started to earn that trust with Patrick Mahomes as the season's drawn on. Isaiah Pacheco, if he's healthy and playing, he's questionable for this game. If he does play, you wonder which run game you would favor, because the traditional run game, I would give it to Kansas City. But you have to include Lamar Jackson in the mix when you talk about the Baltimore Ravens run game. And he is extremely good. The deal breaker on all of it, or not the deal breaker, but kind of the tiebreaker in all of it, is Patrick Mahomes. This is a man who has since taken over the starting job, has gone to 6 consecutive AFC title games, which is insane. He played his first road playoff game last weekend against the Bills, and people were wondering, is it going to affect him being on the road? Is it different for Patrick? Goes out and wins in Buffalo against Bills Mafia. I will say that Ravens Stadium, listening through the TV, was incredibly loud in that Texans game, and I imagine they'll be ratcheted up even further for this Chiefs game. So the ability to handle that noise and avoid pre-snap penalties for the Kansas City Chiefs is going to be crucial. When all said and done, though, don't you just find it so hard to pick against Patrick Mahomes? It's a lot like in the later years of Tom Brady. I mean, Brady's in it. Can you really pick against him? If Brady's there, unless you just hate the Patriots, did you ever feel like, oh man, Brady doesn't have a shot in this game? No, because he was Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes gives you that same feeling, and if he doesn't, he should. Like everything last week told me, Buffalo, they were playing the best. They were at home. Josh Allen was playing like an MVP. The Chiefs' offense has been sputtering. But you just had a vibe, or I had going into Buffalo. Could Buffalo live up to the moment and get over the hump? And you still have Patrick Mahomes. What does that mean? Well, it means the Chiefs moved on. This week feels very similar. Baltimore's playing extremely well. They're hot. Lamar Jackson's playing incredible this season. But they're still number 15 on the other side of the ball when they line up. On the road, at home, doesn't matter. 15 and 87 are both still playing. And that's very important. Now, the Thuney injury scares me because keeping Mahomes clean is going to be imperative for Kansas City if they're going to really make this a game. But this is going to be a close game, it feels. And I feel like the Kansas City Chiefs just have that it. The same way that the New England Patriots had that it. Whether they were the best team or not the best team going into a matchup, you just felt good about their ability to go and do something. A lot because of 15 or a lot because of 12 and Bill Belichick. Well, the same can be said for 15 and Andy Reid. They've still got both of those guys patrolling the sidelines. I find it very hard to bet against them, and I didn't. In prime picks, I took the Chiefs. So Jason Minix has a chance to not only catch, but also overtake me this week in prime picks if all things go according to plan for him. Or I could take a commanding lead with one game left in the season. Two, if they want to throw in that Pro Bowl flag football game. But what say you? You want to call your shot? 656 ESPN 210-656-3776. The Houston Texans cleaned out their lockers this week, and I found it intriguing, some of the things that came out of the locker room when it came to Will Anderson. Will Anderson was talking about his emotions on the field after the game, overcoming him, and the fact that it was another rookie in CJ Stroud that helped to pick him up.
Yeah, I was crying after the game, and he wasn't crying. So, and he came. He said, "You good? We good? It's straight. We gonna be good next year." And I'm like, "My bad." Cap said we gonna be good next year. So I dried my tears up, man, and I just looked at it from his perspective that he gave me after we talked. And he was just like, "Bro, like just think about how much we've come from, like how much better we're gonna be next year, bro. Like we're headed in the right direction."
A rookie consoles him and paints the long-term picture in a loss immediately following the game, and immediately brings that team out of the funk that it feels after losing a tough game in Baltimore, in which that second half got away from them. And I think it's funny he calls CJ Stroud Cap, because that was D'Amico Ryan's nickname. You still hear former players that played with him calling him Cap, like J.J. Watt on the Pat McAfee show. So the likeness between those two, I think, is very, very interesting between Cap or D'Amico and CJ Stroud, as how early they became captains and leaders of their respective football teams, and their inward quiet approach or to the media, but when they step on the field, it is a different person that takes over, it feels like, in those games. And Will Anderson doubled down. You heard him at the end of that, like, we're going to be good next year. He doubled down on that.
I'm very encouraged, and it's crazy because me and Christian was just talking. He was like, "Bro, like I don't like understand better we're going to be next year. It's so easy to come into this place and really just connect with the guys in here and, be able to come in a culture that's been built here and, how to operate throughout that culture. And it's just all mindset and mentality. And then just the players that we have to go out there and execute and have fun doing it. I think that's the biggest thing, is just everybody's loving what they're getting a chance to do. Everybody coming together and just keep trying to make history and keep getting this place better.
People don't understand how good we're going to be next year. And he talked about the differences, the pending differences on this team and all of the free agents and the turnover that could happen. But the thing is, they have the pillars in place. Right now, it looks like Bobby Sloag's coming back. You've still got Gerard Johnson on that staff. D'Amico Ryans is the pillar, followed by the other two pillars, the ones that they took number 2 overall and then traded up to take number 3 overall, Will Anderson and CJ Stroud. And the funny thing was, we all have our goats, right? And it is easy to say, and you won't get very much pushback from anyone. Nick Saban's the GOAT. He is one of the best, if not the best, college football coaches in not just my lifetime, but across all lifetimes, especially kind of what he did, how he did it, and then the manner in which he did it with Alabama and being always in the hunt for a national championship year after year after year, winning those national championships the way he did. And then on top of that, the changing landscape of college football with the NIL and the portal, and he still maintained to be an elite program despite all of that. Nick Saban's the GOAT. But he might be number 2 in coaches on Will Anderson's list?
I don't usually rank all the head coaches I've ever had. But man, he show up there. I tell you, bro. Like he might be number one, bro. Over Coach Saban, dog. Like, bro, like, bro. But like, but no, man. He's just a great dude. He's a really great dude. And I tell people all the time. He said, "How Coach Ryan?" I said, "Bro, honestly, bro, like, I view him as a coach, but I also view him as a player. Like, I view him still as like." He's just a captain on the team sometimes because that's the way he approaches us. Like he approaches us like he still is playing the game. And I think that's why it's so easy for all of us to like comprehend and understand like how he operates and what he wants to get done because he commands that type of, excellence and expectation and standard through everybody throughout the whole organization. And I mean, when you have a head and he's like he can coach you. You know what I'm saying? Like he knows, like he's been in the league. He knows. And he knows how to coach. And that's the thing, another thing that I respect about him, man. Like the way he cares about his players, the way he loves his players. He wants it so bad. He just gives all that love and energy into his players. And I know it just makes us want to keep playing for him.
When you hear like that stuff like that from one of the leaders on the team and Will Anderson Jr., it's encouraging. And then you hear him talk about D'Amico Ryans in that fashion. It goes to show the value of a coach. I think Dan Campbell brings that same kind of vibe to the players in the locker room within the Detroit Lions. And you start looking at recent coaching hires that are going younger. I think the relating to the players and being able to connect with them is important. Do the San Antonio Spurs need some youth delivering the message? Or is Pop still the right guy to lead this team moving forward? We'll discuss next right here on Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
And are the Spurs had a couple of games. Did they take care of the Portland Trailblazers? And what did Anthony Edwards look like? We'll look back on a busy weekend. Did the Spurs jump off the schneid? Are they on the winning side of things? We're going to talk about it.
Super Bowl 58 is set. We have two teams playing for the whole prize. What can the Dallas Cowboys learn from each of them? Also, what the heck's going on with Dan Quinn? We'll get into it starting at 6 a.m.
It's your wake-up call. R&R in the morning, 6 to 10 on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
The John Clay Wolf Show. Here's what's going on in the Wolf Pack.
You got to be super organized to drive an electric vehicle, man. I ran it down to 0 miles remaining just as I pulled up into the parking lot.
I see 3 extension cords coupled together running several hundred feet out into a parking lot.
You guys are ghetto.
The whole world's going to look ghetto with these cables running around and cars swung all over the place.
The John Clay Wolf Show, every Saturday morning.
Catch the John Clay Wolf Show, Saturdays from 9 a.m. to noon, right here on San Antonio.
It seems like everywhere you look right now, someone is sick. This year, prepare your family for airborne invaders like bacteria, pollen, and yes, germs with Navage Nasal Care. Navage flushes ultra-pure, refreshing saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril. Navage sucks out viruses, dust, and other airborne particles, all the stuff that gets trapped in your nose, making you miserable. Don't get caught empty-handed this winter. Get Navage, the drug-free solution that helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. Even better, Navage is HSA, FSA eligible, so Navage is a great way to spend those funds before they expire. Don't wait a minute longer. Buy Navage today and you'll breathe easier knowing you're putting your funds to good use. Navage is available online at Navage.com or Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Babbel's interactive lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method. So in no time, you can start speaking confidently about real-life topics in another language.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español. Gracias, Babbel. Sí, muchas gracias.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Start learning a language today at Babbel.com.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. Go to windowappointmentnow.com for full offer details. Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? Fog between the glass? Spending too much and expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen. And right now, you can save $375 off every window and $775 off every door when you buy 4 or more units. Just text INSIDE to 200-300 for your free consultation on top quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 monthly payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Text INSIDE to 200-300 right now to save $375 off every window and $775 off every door when you buy 4 or more units. But hurry, these big dollar savings won't last long. Text INSIDE to 200-300. Don't wait. Text the word INSIDE to 200-300. Text INSIDE to 200-300.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health San Antonio will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 210-615-7777. That's 210-615-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Cowboys play here. 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star 94.1 FM, SASportsStar.com. I appreciate everybody out there. Martin just called in, had a great conversation with him during the break about Nick Saban, the NIL, transferred into other things. Kelvin Sampson, go Kelvin Sampson. But yeah, I mean, look at D'Amico Ryans, Sean McVay, coaches younger, relate to players, Mike McDaniel, and the struggles after, Bill Belichick had lost Tom Brady's. Well, Greg Popovich has lost his Tom Brady and Tim Duncan, along with Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker. And now it is him and a very, very young, promising Victor Wembanyama, but they're alone. So is that on Pop? Is that on Pop not being able to get the best out of this team? The fact that they have taken a step back? Or is it on Brian Wright? It was interesting. We had Sean Elliott on yesterday on the Blitz. And if you missed it, it was a fantastic interview. Go check it out over at sasportstar.com. But Sean Elliott was talking about Jeremy Sohan, point guard experiment, the same team plus Wemby. Why does this team seem worse? Draft picks, vets, which way do you want to do? Kind of a meld of both, which I have said for a long time. But he also talked about this team and what is potentially one of the cruxes that this team faces and why this team seemingly has not made any progress yet. Maybe the players are, well, Sean didn't say this, but I am inferring it. Maybe the players are the problem.
Every single day, you're working on sets, you're working on plays, you're working on defensive schemes, but at the same time, you have to have the basic fundamentals down to be able to implement those schemes on the defensive and offensive side of the ball. And if you don't have that basic fundamentals, it's a struggle, just to be able to run plays properly. I mean, there are lots of plays. I mean, if Spurs fans have watched the big three throughout all those years. There was a play coming down the stretch every single game. You can go back and watch games if you want. It was called floppy down. And it was a backdoor play for Tony Parker. And Timmy Duncan was at the elbow, and Timmy would throw in the back door. And Pop would call this play in the last minute and a half. And it was always to get a bucket in a tight game. And Tony, Manu, Timmy, they had the wherewithal and the knowledge and the savvy to be able to pull this play off. And I don't know, it was about 5 or 6 years ago. I said, Pop, how come you guys don't run floppy down anymore? I said, our guys, they can't run it. And so, you're dealing with a whole different group of players that had experience and had know-how, and guys that are still trying to figure that out.
Still trying to figure out. I don't want to put words in Sean's mouth, but they don't. Their basketball IQ isn't there. They're not grasping the concepts. And it's tough to argue that when you see the product on the court sometimes. It's more than just the talent gap between teams, right? Because these teams have always been coached extremely well. And even when you sat the big three, you felt like you had a chance, like when they sat everybody against Miami and still almost won that game against Miami's big three. But is the problem on Pop, or is it on the players and the person selecting the players? And Brian Wright, because we've heard Pop say that, he leaves the GM stuff to the GM. And I tend to believe him in a sense. Like, I don't believe he's as out of the loop as he says he is, to where he just walks in a room and he's like, all right, you're taking this guy. But I do believe that the general managers have kind of they run the show. And we have to call into question, since Brian Wright's taken over, what has happened? And you've got Josh Primo. Right? Josh Primo did not work out. And sure, it didn't work out because in that draft, when they took Primo at 12 overall, he's no longer on this team. But it's easy to say, man, that didn't work. Well, you have to look at what went behind Josh Primo to find out how the miss stacks up against everything else. Okay. Chris Duarte, pretty good player. Alperen Şengün. Trey Murphy, Trey Mang, Jalen Johnson, Keon Johnson, Isaiah Jackson, Quentin Grimes, Cam Thomas, Jaden Springer, Deron Sharp. All those guys went after Herb Jones, Ayo Dosunmu. All of these guys went after Josh Primo did in 2021. So sure, a miss. There are a lot of times where you can look, they draft somebody, but then you're like, who was after him? Who did they really miss on? Was it that bad of a miss, or did they just make the situation was what it was? So I don't like to just point at, oh, is that guy a miss? Well, look behind him and then see. Devin Vassell, 2020 draft pick. There's not a lot after him that you would rather have over Devin Vassell, in my opinion. I liked Sadiq Bey, but there are a couple of names after Devin Vassell where you could go, all-star Tyrese Halliburton went the pick after Devin Vassell. Cole Anthony, Tyrese Maxey, RJ Hampton, Emmanuel Quickley, and Desmond Bain, all picked after. So is it on Pop, or is it on the players, and is it on the person drafting the players? Jacob Eric says, we got Dominic before Kelding, for crying out loud. Yeah, you did. But I think, if I remember correctly, that was not Brian Wright. That was still R.C. Buford in control of the drafts at that point as the general manager before Brian Wright took over. Appreciate everybody for riding along with me. This has been Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I appreciate everyone for riding through this evening, and we are going to take you to Michigan State and Wisconsin Big Ten basketball here on San Antonio Sports Star.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.
This is Compass Media Network's presentation of NCAA